Welcome to episode 196 of the Thunder Underground podcast. Trent and Jason here. And guess what?
What?
Matt Byrne from Hatebreed is also here.
What the fuck? When did we get him?
You were asleep that day.
Oh.
I did it on my own.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. I didn't remember it.
This podcast is now sponsored by Monster Energy to help wake Jason back.
No shit. Well,
actually, this is sponsored by Java Ridge. Right?
That's what I'm saying. I'm drinking coffee when we're doing this instead of beer, which is what I'm usually drinking.
Right.
What's wrong in the cosmos with that one?
Something's
a paradigm shift in the universe or something happened.
Well, this episode is Hatebreed centric, and Jamie Josta talks about the coffee or the Java monster a lot.
There you go.
So there's the tie-in, maybe.
And Matt Byrne had a big old thing of coffee when we were interviewing him.
There you go.
Bam.
So it all subconsciously tied itself back together.
That's right.
Yes.
Although I gotta say, you go in the evening to come and go, and their coffee isn't as hot as when it's in the morning. But I guess that's just to be expected.
Well, you would think it's the same machine that's plugged in. Why wouldn't it be fucking
right?
The same
But
temperature?
I mean, I'm almost done with this motherfucker.
Right.
So, I mean, shit.
Well, before we get into this episode is sponsored by DEB Concerts.
Damn right.
That's right. They just recently brought Kicks the other night.
Yes, they did.
And you'll hear a full detail about that coming soon because we interviewed two members of the band Kicks.
Oh, man, it was awesome. It was one of the best ones we've ever done, I think, in my opinion.
That's cool. So that's a good reason for you to listen.
Exactly.
So, yeah, we'll talk about that show here in the next week or so. But coming up, DEB is bringing LA Guns back to Tulsa.
Of course.
On December 8th. LA Guns is bringing with them Junkyard, which is very cool.
Bucket list for you and me.
That's right. LA Guns is good enough, but then you throw in a band as great as Junkyard, that makes this show can't miss.
And our buddies in Grind are opening the show.
That is correct.
So, I mean, I don't know. If you're not there, I feel sorry for you.
That's right. Unless you're Jason Carroll and Jennifer Carroll, we don't feel sorry for you because they're in Mexico during that time period, right?
Yeah. Okay. So, you know.
But everybody else, we feel sorry for you.
Exactly.
And then, February 13th, Saxon is coming to Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Hold the phones.
Can you believe that?
Saxon.
Can you believe that?
That's going to be nuts.
All the hair swinging that you will want on stage from Saxon.
I mean, I don't even know. I can't. Dude, on that stage, I don't know. I can't.
Can't even fathom it. Right?
Yeah, it's going to be amazing.
That's right. Biff Byford has been on this podcast, so go check that episode out.
Yes, he has, yes.
When they were touring with Judas Priest back earlier this year in the spring. But yeah, both these shows are sponsored by, well, I didn't mention on that one, Down for Five and Mudflux are both opening.
Yes.
So if you want to go to that one, hit up one of those bands. Or if you're going to the LA Guns Junkyard show, hit up Grind. Buy your tickets from them. It helps them out, and you save a few bucks yourself.
Yeah.
So yeah, just get on the Facebook pages, look those bands up. Buy your tickets that way. Both these shows at the Ideal Ballroom are hosted by Eddie Trunk. So get out there, check these out. DB Concerts is also run by Doug Burgess, who has the D&B processing stage at Rocklahoma.
Yes.
And we just found out a lot of information about that on our very last episode.
Yes, he joined us and divulged quite a bit of information.
Yeah, so go back and check that out if you're in the Midwest and you're a Rocklahoma attendee. It's got a lot of cool info on it. Episode 195. But yeah, more great stuff coming from DB Concerts, so be on the lookout. What should we talk about first? First thing first, last time we dropped an episode was on Halloween Day.
Okay.
And later that night, on Halloween, we went out to the Vanguard here in Tulsa.
That's right.
Because there was a show that featured three tribute bands. We had headlined by Iowa, a Slipknot tribute. There was also Toxicity, which of course is a System of a Down tribute.
Yes.
And then Bomb Track, which was a Rage Against the Machine tribute.
Nice.
First things first, whenever I saw this, I'm like, this is fucking awesome. And then like 10 seconds later it hit me, I'm like, if someone's going to be up on stage doing System of a Down, They better have someone that can fucking sing this stuff and not just like half-ass the way through it.
And God damn it, they did.
Yeah, they had Mr. Byrne, who is frontman for Freak Juice.
Yes.
And yeah, absolutely. I wasn't shocked. I was just pleasantly happy. Or again, not pleasantly happy, just happy with how this turned out. Because musically it was great, and then he nailed, everything as well as you would hoped.
That's right. That's right.
And the System of a Down tribute also did. They didn't stick to all the just what you would expect, the radio hits, like there's no aerials or spiders or none of that.
Mm-hmm.
They just all the high energy stuff. They did Prison Song, just stuff that anyone that listens to System's going to know the music. So it was great, but I just thought that was cool that they didn't just go straight radio single on that thing.
And they could have, because that's what a lot of tribute bands do.
Yeah. Well, that was actually the backing band on that one was the band Tom Boyle out of Tulsa. And the backing band for the Rage tribute was Blind Oath, who we've talked about before and we played before as well.
Gotcha.
They opened up for Night Demon recently and Vicious Rumors. Great new band in the Tulsa area. And Mike D handled the vocals on that one. And just the same as the System, they pulled this thing off effortlessly, I believe. Yeah, I mean, a lot of great... They, took all the Rage tracks you know and love, and except Jason was in the back, kept screaming for the ghost of Tom Joad for some reason. But
oh my God.
I'm like, come on, dude.
I
It's
did
a
not. No way you start fucking lying.
But no, I have admitted, I've said it on this podcast before, I'm not a huge Rage fan.
Yes.
I love Tom Morello, but I was never a fan of Zach De La Rocca. But it's cool to see a tribute like this because Mike D doesn't sound like Zach De La Rocca, so I'm like, fuck so yeah, this is great.
You dug it. Yeah, oh yeah. Oh yeah. There you go.
And just like you would hope, the band played it great. And then followed up by that, members of both the bands that, put those two tributes on were involved in the Slipknot tribute. But the Slipknot tribute also featured, besides members of Blind Oath and Tom Boyle, it also featured members of Disparity Gospel, Lizard Police, Constant Peril, and Mr. Burns was in that as well.
Oh, okay.
And I couldn't tell you who was doing what because obviously it was a Slipknot tribute, so they all had on their masks and everything. And they themed this around the early Slipknot, the early masks and jumpsuits and everything.
Yes.
And all the music was heavily off those first 2 or 3 albums, I think. And I told you when we were there, they put in some fucking work on this. And
yes, they did.
This was done well enough that this band could go on fucking tour and legitimately be a Slipknot touring tribute band,
Oh, I agree. They were that good at it.
Yeah, and they had the get up down full on, costumes and kegs and everything you expect to be on stage during a Slipknot show.
Oh yeah, they had the whole everything you'd want.
Yeah.
It was great and they sounded awesome.
Yeah. So huge props to all those guys involved with all 3 of those bands. I was glad we got to go out there and do that on Halloween night.
Of course.
And speaking of the Halloween style theme, a few days before that, Ghost came to Tulsa.
Yes, they did.
We got to see him out at the Cox Business Center, which I'll say up front is my only gripe about this show was that it was in like the ballroom or some shit.
Yeah, that was weird, man.
And I've seen shows before at Cox at the convention center, obviously way back when they used to have shows there.
Yeah. And
then in more recent years, I saw Neil Young, I saw Volbeat and All That Remains and bands there in their arena, and it sounds fine, I thought. But then they put it in this ballroom, which isn't meant for music. It's just a big square room, and the first several songs to me just sounded totally weird and echoey. It got better as it went, but I think that's probably because my ears adjusted.
Yeah.
Well, but they sounded great. I'm just saying the room was not meant for this.
Motherfucker, when I worked at TV Guide way back in the day, they had one of their Christmas parties at this place.
Okay.
I mean, that's the kind of fucking place we're talking about here.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just odd to me. I don't know why they couldn't have had it in their arena or I don't know, whatever. I don't know. But I mean, as far as the sound, I mean, I don't know. I don't have as trained an ear as some people.
Well, it's more trained than mine, probably, if you're a guitarist.
Well, that's the sad part. It probably isn't. I mean, that's why. I mean, I just plug in and I hear distortion. I'm good. I don't fucking know. I mean, unless there's like, it's really shitty or something's really fucked up. You know, I don't know, I couldn't tell it. I could hear shit. But then again, you know, I don't know. There's also, you know, you have a whole bunch of beers like I did. It probably sounds like whatever, you know. But anyways. I agree. It was just weird in that place. That was definitely a first, and I don't know. It was just, it was odd. All the venues must have been full up in Tulsa or something that night. I have no fucking clue.
Yeah. But the arena wasn't in that same building, right?
Yeah.
So that's what makes it weird.
I don't fucking.
And I mean, they had the crowd to sustain that room. It's not
they
like
sure
it was.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this was the opening. I think it was technically the opening night on the Pell tour named Death.
Yes.
They played the night before in Dallas, but it was part of a, you know, like a Halloween show with like 6 other bands.
Yeah.
So this was the kickoff of them just doing their full Ghost show, no opener, an evening with Ghost type thing. And I mean, they did it. They played 2 hours and I think it was right at 30 minutes.
Yeah.
With a 15
minute. Yeah.
Yeah. They did an hour and a little over an hour set and then came back and did like an hour and a half, I think maybe, or maybe it's the other way around. But
yeah. But they debuted some songs they'd never played live before, shit like that.
Yeah.
It was fucking awesome. And the theatrics, I mean, we all know what we're talking about here. Everyone's seen it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just a great show. It was a great event.
Yeah, they hit stuff from every album.
Yes.
And of course, they, like you said, they debuted some songs from the new album that they had not played yet, and what we hoped and expected, right?
Oh, definitely. I mean, they make it more than just a concert. You know, there's with everything that they've got going on, and I really appreciate that kind of thing, and I think it's needed right now. And all their shit's catchy, but then it rocks too. I mean, fucking yeah.
And it's cool when
I love it.
You know, we've talked about this every time a new album's come out, that they change their sound a little bit each time. And, you know, this new one has that real 80s feel to it. And, you know, when you hear the stuff live, you get to hear all the different kind of genres that they've touched on. You know, the early stuff was more, you know, proggy and 70s sounding.
Yes.
And then the album, you know, the third album was more metal, just kind of metal. When you put all the stuff together, it just all flows perfectly well as well. Yeah. Which is really cool.
Yeah. And I like how they've evolved or Tobias has evolved, however you want to say it, it to the point where, you know, now they're in bigger places and their costumes are different. They can move around. It makes for better fan interaction.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, you know. And then, so yeah, I mean, there's that evolution that most bands need to have to maintain, and they're doing it, perfectly. I mean, does Prequel sound anything like Opus Eponymous? Fuck no. In maybe a couple different ways, it's almost like a different band. Yeah. Well, it is a different band in a few ways.
Right.
But I mean, because that first record, it almost sounds like a stoner rock band.
Yeah.
In some points. But anyways, I'm just, you know, now I'm just talking more about Ghost than the show that we went to. But it was a great night. People everywhere. I mean, it was packed. These guys are just on fire.
Yeah. And they, like you said, they've evolved. He was smart about it because what caught everybody's attention in the first place, obviously, was the fact that this guy's dressed up like a pope.
Yes.
And their whole theme is satanic.
Yeah.
And it still is. I mean, even though now he's a cardinal, but I mean, that theme is carried on, and it still has the satanic theme to all the lyrics, but compared to the early stuff, he doesn't speak on it at all.
Yeah.
Live. It's like outside of the lyrics.
Exactly.
So that's the only way that this band was ever going to get bigger and to an arena rock level is if, they've got a satanic theme, but it's never brought up in the show other than just like kind of the look of the
imagery
stage
or
setup.
something. Yeah. Well, and I don't know if I've mentioned this on our show before or not, but I've read articles where he states that yes, the albums are serious, and there's definitely a whatever you want to call it, a satanic theme or an anti-establishment theme. To me, I interpret it as more of a anti-establishment, anti-the man kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's why I appreciate it, and that's why I appreciate, a lot of anti-religious stuff. But that's a whole other conversation. But he wants the shows to just be uplifting and fun and, and kind of, joking around and stuff. And they do all that.
Yeah.
They definitely do all that. And so that's a very smart move as well.
Yeah. So yeah, if you get a chance to see Ghost, check it out. I mean, I know we've talked about that before as well. They're one of those bands that, are pretty divisive with people. Some people hate them, some people love them. But I mean, if you like them or you're on the fence, the show's definitely worth checking out.
Oh yeah, you're gonna love it.
Yeah. All right, let's play some music before we get into this Hatebreed talk.
That's a great idea.
All right, we're gonna play you a band out of Tulsa, Oklahoma right now. This band is called Altar Blood, and this song is called Insane.
We can't take much more.
Insane from Altar Blood. That is off their Welcome to the Altar album that came out earlier this year. I think it's long overdue that we play these guys.
Yes.
Because we had the band on the podcast quite a while back.
Oh, yes.
And first time we got a chance to play them here. Ryan, founding guitarist of this band, recently announced that he's stepping down. So hopefully we'll hear from him, at some point again.
Yes.
He's really pushed this band to get to where they are. So, props to him. Good luck to what he decides to do, and also good luck to Ultra Blood and whoever they get to replace him.
They've got somebody already.
Oh, they've already announced it?
It was on their Facebook. So they're,
okay.
The momentum's still going. So these things happen. Yeah. We'll just see where it goes.
Yeah. Yeah, so very cool to be able to play that song Insane. It's got a really cool riff, memorable riff. I love, you listen to this whole album, I really love that the bass on most of the tracks really stands out. It's one of the, I always love when a bass line is separate from, where it's not meant to just copy the drums or whatever.
Yeah. And
it's noticeable like that. And they've got a lot of, guitar solos, even though it's, just heavy in your face, brutal vocal music,
Yeah.
So yeah, check out Altar Blood. It's all one word on Facebook. Look them up. The album's on Spotify as well. So you don't have an excuse not to check these guys out.
By God.
Hell yeah. All right. About 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
We saw Hatebreed and Gore. It had been too long since I've seen Hatebreed. Yeah. I will say that, even though it's only been, 2 years or 3 years, but still, that's too long.
Yeah. Well, you're talking about Rocklahoma?
Yeah.
I don't know. It was like, I guess I was hungover or something, but I was not feeling good during their set, so I just went and sat down somewhere.
Oh, okay.
So I heard them, but I never really saw them. So
gotcha. This
is really cool to see them this time.
Only time I've got to see them do a headline set, I think, was the time we saw them at the Rev Room in Little Rock 4 or 5 years ago.
That was a killer show.
Every other time has been at either a festival like Rocklahoma or Ozfest, way back, or opening up for, Lamb of God or whoever.
Yeah. There was the time that they came to Oklahoma City with Damage Plan.
Oh, shit, that's right.
And Damage Plan canceled.
Yeah.
Because they had a family emergency.
That's right.
So Hatebreed played extra long.
That's right.
And, all their songs are, really short.
Right.
So I was just like,
44 songs.
They just keep going. They keep going. They keep going. I was like, let's just go. And we'd seen them play 80 fucking songs already. I mean, they were relentless. They killed it.
Yeah. Just talking about the show itself.
Oh, yeah.
I saw Gore a few years ago, and then way back when. And, Gore is fun. It's a cool show.
Mm-hmm.
But no disrespect to Gore, but Hatebreed fucking owned that stage.
Oh, yeah, that was Hatebreed's show. That was insane.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's two totally different things, but, we even talked about that in the interview with Matt. And, I mean, Gore is fucking the kings at what they do.
Yeah.
But, Hatebreed is as well.
Yeah. And they showed you why.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just crushing, relentless. It was fun. They all get into it. I mean, it was so fucking awesome to watch.
You saw the new Bohemian Rhapsody movie.
Yeah.
You don't need to see that to know that Freddie Mercury is the greatest frontman of all time. We've known that for our whole lives.
Exactly.
But I'll say this, Jamie Josta is the Freddie Mercury of hardcore.
Damn right.
And I don't care how weird that sounds or what people think. That's the fucking truth.
I like that. You're coined a new phrase, didn't you? Nice.
So maybe, Josh, you can use that on your podcast if you're listening. You are the Freddie Mercury of hardcore. That's just because he's one of the best frontmen in metal.
Yes, he is. He definitely is.
He knows how to get a crowd going. He's relentless in what he does and all his stuff. But, so to see that relate on the stage and like Matt talks about, in this interview, it's kind of, him and Josta feed off each other as far as, what's, Josta will look at him or whatever as far as the set list goes. And then, the other three guys are, like you said, everybody's into it. It's badass. And if you're a Hatebreed fan, also look up Florida Frank's Instagram, because whenever he was here at this show, he went to 12 of the different spots from scenes in The Outsiders.
Yes.
So that was kind of cool. Check that out.
And he put them up against the scenes in the movie.
Right.
And that was just a really cool thing to see.
Yeah.
And I liked the shirt that he wore.
Oh, that's right.
You know, I was like, fuck, I want to find that shirt.
Let's get into this. This is Matt Byrne from Hatebreed.
You guys stripped down, right in your face approach compared to Gore's over the top, what they are. I mean, do you like those kind of tours where it's a big contrast like that? I mean, obviously the music style.
Well, I like, the show, the music, it's all related. I mean, I just like a tour where the contrast is different between each band. There's been plenty of tours. We've done them. I've seen other bands on them where you go and you're seeing the same band, a 5-band package, a 6-band package, a 4-band package, whatever. You're seeing the same band the whole night. And then the headliner. So it's cool when you're on a tour or we go see a tour as a fan where every band is bringing a different element to the show.
Right.
You know, it's kind of cool, like Guar with the stage antics and you know, it is metal music. The songs are great, but the visuals are all there. Then we're more of a stripped down band, you know, a lot of audience participation, I guess, a lot of circle pitting and crowd surfing and all that stuff. You have Miss May I, who's a younger band, you know, I think they're the youngest on the package as far as like, you know, being in age, but also as a band, they haven't been around as long as the other bands on the tour have. So they bring a different element of more like a metalcore, more singing. And then Ringworm, of course, is old school metal hardcore too. So yeah, it's cool. It's a good, I like the mix. As a fan and being as a performer on the tour, I like to see a tour where it's different stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the heavy is covered, just different.
Exactly.
Heavy.
It's all heavy.
And you guys are good at that.
It's all heavy,
Yes.
but every band has their own niche. Every band has their own trademark, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's been coming on 2.5 years now since the Concrete Confessional.
Yeah.
So are you guys talking about the follow-up?
Yeah,
Has
we're
that been
talking.
discussed?
I think 2 to 3 years has been our timeline usually between albums. Sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less, but overall it's like that's kind of the average. 2 to 3 years between records for Hatebreed. So we talked loosely about 2019 at some point. I'm not sure when. You know, getting in a room and starting to hash out ideas or whatever. The thing with us is we've always been a pretty heavily touring band, whether it be overseas or in the U.S. or whatever. So, you know, sometimes the idea is they're like, yeah, we should really write some new material, or what'll happen is a tour will come up or something, and you know, it's a good opportunity. It's like, well, shit, let's just stay on the road, because we're still getting the current music out there, and everyone's having a good time. Nobody's burnt out or anything. We're road dogs, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've talked loosely about 2019 getting together and starting to put some stuff together.
The riffs floating around at all yet, or just
nothing. I'm sure there's ideas in everyone's heads, but nothing has been gotten. We haven't gotten in a room and started putting stuff together. Yeah.
Well, I know. I've heard. Jamie's podcast. I've heard a couple different places. The idea of doing a For the Lines too. Is that something that is going to happen, or if it did, what would you want to do?
Good question. Well, you know what? We've joked about it over the years since we did the first one.
Yeah.
So it's always been it's funny because you hear Cyndi Lauper or something on the radio. We're like, oh, For the Lions too. We'll cover that. It's always been a running joke. But not even though it's talked about as a joke, I don't think it's completely out of the question. It would be kind of cool to do. I know Napalm Death has done it, right? Back-to-back cover albums, and they're kind of a volume of covers. So, I'd love to do it. What songs we would do? I don't know. I mean, you could go way off the spectrum and do something like Cyndi Lauper or something like that. I mean, not that that's an idea that's being talked about, but, or you just keep it heavy, and there's plenty of heavy bands out there to cover. Oh, we're fans of so much stuff. I mean, it's really just throwing a bunch of names in a hat and seeing what's picked out. Yeah. If everyone agrees, we'll go for it.
Right.
But yeah, the idea's there, I guess. I mean, anything's possible. Never say never.
Do you guys ever bring any of those songs out in the set list? I know you do the Slayer song sometimes. But
Yeah, we used to do it more. It hasn't. It's been a little while since we even played the Slayer one, but that was pretty consistent for a while. The Sepultura cover was pretty consistent for a little while. That's going back a number of years. We were doing the Black Flag cover a little while. I think those were the three that we did mainly. Yeah. Haven't messed with anything else in a long time. It's funny, I'll go back and I'll listen to it once in a while because it's not like it's listening to your own material, but it's not your own material. Right. So it's not like you're going back and listening to all your records. But I think, it came out really good and I liked the songs that we picked. Yeah. And, being a fan, I thought, my personal opinion, we did a pretty good goddamn job of covering the songs. So
yes.
if we do go for a second turn on something like that for the Lions too, I think it'll be cool.
Yeah. We'll talk about, you guys have always used Zeus, and talk about, what he brings. And, he must be like a sixth member at this stage.
Yeah. Yeah. I think he's been with us since Perseverance. He engineered Perseverance. He wasn't in a producer role or anything like that at that point. And since then, we've done a number of albums, and since then he's done a shit ton of albums in different capacities. So, he did at some point. Yeah, he was like the sixth member of the band. He's real frank with you in the studio. He knows he knows what you can do, and he knows how he's going to try to get it out of you. Mm-hmm. And you would think that there's a comfort zone there for knowing him for so long, but that's kind of broken when you're in there working with him. Yeah. He's frank. He'll tell you suck, or he'll tell you you're doing great. No holds barred. But yeah, he knows. He's part of what shaped the Hatebreed identity on record, I think. Mm-hmm. He knows how to get our tones, and he knows what we're supposed to sound like. So, yeah, he is like the sixth member of the band, I guess, in that respect.
Well, as a drummer, does he bring any elements to what you do that maybe weren't there before you worked with him going clear back to Perseverance? Or?
Yeah, I think so. Like, he kind of guides me in a way where if I want to be... He's good at telling me when to pull back, I think. Because I think as a drummer, any drummer just wants to go all over the place and, fit as many notes into a little section as you can and jazz things up a little bit. But sometimes a part in a song just doesn't call for that. So I think his fresh ears on something, he can tell me like, you're doing too much there. Or spruce that up just a little bit. Something like he can just tell when something's bad and when something's good.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. But, he does everybody. He did Queensryche. I was...
Queensryche, yeah.
That was cool to see.
I think he's done 2 albums with it at this point.
2 new ones,
yeah. And he's mixed or mastered so many different artists. Mm-hmm. It's funny. I'll hear about it when it's about to come out because he'll do a post on social media or something like, "Oh, you did that record? I didn't even know that."
Nice.
Iced Earth. everything from us to Iced Earth to Queensryche.
Yeah.
Revocation, Municipal Waste. He's done a lot of bands over the years.
Well, you guys did the anniversary tour for the debut album. So as a member that didn't play on that album, were there any songs that you had never played?
No.
They were all played in the early days of when you were there.
Oh yeah, yeah. So I've had 2 stints in the band. Once early on in 1998 for almost a year, and that was when we were touring on Satisfaction. So we would play the whole album,
right? Okay.
And then later on, I came back in 2001, and we still play a lot of the songs. We're not a band with a set list, so we usually, every night it's different. Every night's different. Yeah. So, we're not going to go too far out of the backs. I think we have so much material now where you can't really pull something too far. Like, something we haven't played in 2 years. Like, just pull that out tonight. We'd have to rehearse that. But we've always been like, we know most of our material where we could play it at the drop of a hat just because I think that's the Hatebreed way. We usually know what we're going to start with. We know what we'll finish with. But in between, it's more about gauging the crowd and playing what they want to hear. And giving them the show that they're there to see.
Right.
Some people like the faster stuff. Some people like the more mid-tempo stuff. Some people want just the more of the, some people want the covers, whatever. So it's a good mix. We do play something from every album, but the old stuff, that stuff's been played thousands of times at this point.
Yeah. Well, I've read
it's not a bad thing. Not a bad thing.
I've read that before about the no set list thing. Like during the middle of the show, who's driving that? Is it you as the drummer, or is it Josta, or who's?
Well, Jamie's calling out the songs.
Them out. Okay,
so
gotcha.
We all got to know what the material, of course, but we don't know what's coming next. You know,
Okay.
there's little hints, you know, that you pick up in stage banter or whatever, what song's coming next or whatever. I think you just naturally grow, or you just naturally catch on to that through the chemistry of playing together for so many years and whatnot.
Right.
And we kind of interact with each other and stuff, feed off each other. But yeah, he's calling them out. And then the 4 count sets it off.
Yeah.
That's it. It's like Ramones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I like to, it's just 1, 2, 3, 4, everything.
So the Seth Meyers sitting in, talk about that and how'd that even come about?
Oh man, that was such a cool experience.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I was asked to do it because a lot of drummers had done it before me and a lot of drummers have done it since I've done it. So it's just, and they're all great players, man.
Yeah. Lombardo sit in, I think.
Lombardo, yeah. Josh Freese, Kenny Arnoff, I think did it. John Theodore, Queens of the Stone Age, and a spectrum of guys, whether they be like more R&B all the way up to metal guys like myself.
Yeah.
I'm friendly with one of the producers on the show who's in charge of that stuff because he's a drummer himself, so he knows a lot of drummers. And I think early on when they were coming up with the idea, he had asked me, if I'd be interested in doing it and whatever, and took a while to make it come to fruition. I think over like a 1.5, 2 year period. It finally happened. At that point, I was like, this isn't going to happen. We just talked about it, and he made it happen. So it was really cool. It's totally different from playing live in front of people with your band and playing these songs that you play all the time and knowing the material. Every day, you're there for a week and every day is different. You're writing these different melodies and like little A and B parts and stuff for different parts of the show, and you're going off all these different cues. You have the stage manager, you have Seth Meyers, you have the band leader. It's the whole show's shot in like an hour, but it's just a lot of moving parts, and it's really impressive to see these people like work it every day, and just it's like clockwork, man. It's like clockwork. A little nerve-wracking because you have to. It's all about timing. Yeah. It's all about the timing. You have a guest walking out. You can't. Their butt's going to hit the seat. They're about to sit down and start talking. So you don't want to end too soon because it's silly and then there's dead air. You don't want to end too late because they're already talking and you're playing over them. So yeah, it's like little things like that. But it was awesome, man. I had a great time doing it, and I thought I did a pretty good job overall. Like it was weird hearing Seth Meyers say, "Here he is, the drummer from Hatebreed." There was some interaction with the guests and stuff, but it was great. It was a lot of fun. It's something that really keeps you on your toes because it's so out of the box of what I do every night. Yeah, I'm sure it's that way for any drummer that's done it.
Yeah, but all those years of road work had to have prepared you, helped in some way.
Yeah. I think just. If you've ever watched the shows, if any talk show or late night TV or whatever, you get the flow of it. You know how it works. You're not going in completely blind. It's just, okay, now you're in the hot seat and don't fuck up. Yeah. That's really what it comes down to.
Well, I'd say that article that was in Motor Trends.
Yeah.
You did like several years ago.
Yeah. The release of this album, actually. Oh, yeah, it was like 2 years ago. I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you've got the 1980 Camaro.
Yeah.
So say you're driving around in that Camaro, what kind of music's blaring out the speakers?
Nothing.
Nothing?
No. I have a stereo in the car. It's just like, you just want to listen to the car.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't play any music in the car at all. I just love the sound.
Like that,
Yeah, and the car's so loud too. It's loud, it's a beast. So, yeah, I just love to fire it up and cruise right along and just listen to the sound of the car. You wouldn't be able to hear the music over the car anyway.
Right.
And I don't have, it's pretty basic, man. The stereo's basic, the speakers are basic, so yeah, I'd really have to crank it, and I don't want to blow it up. So it's really just about listening to the engine.
I was really hoping you'd say Journey or something, but
most people think that because anybody who's seen pictures of the car or whatever and comment on social media, it's like, oh man, you must be. It's like Billy Madison, and he pulls up to the school in his Trans Am, and he's wearing the jean jacket, and he's blasting like REO Speedwagon or something. Yeah, everybody thinks that because the car looks similar to that, so everybody thinks, like you're listening to Journey or whatever, Foghat or something. I don't know. Yeah.
What other kind of cars were you a big fan of?
In high school, I had a 69 Mustang coupe and, bought it from a woman who was just trying to get rid of it. And You know, it wasn't in the best of shape. And my best friend in school, who coincidentally did a lot of work on my Camaro too, we're still close friends. But at the time, you know, we're seniors in high school, and he had a Monte Carlo, and he was like, "Oh man, we're gonna pull the motor out of this thing. I got the Mustang. He's like, we're gonna pull the motor out of this thing, and we're gonna do it up." And I mean, you're a high school kid. I don't even remember where I was working at the time, but that's a total shoestring budget. I mean, but you know, you have these grandiose plans. So we did. We pulled the motor out and got my hands dirty a little bit. He had all the knowledge. I was just a helper, and you know, got the motor back in, and the car was running. And at that point, I just couldn't afford it anymore. And the winters in New York are pretty bad sometimes, and they're not good with a '69 Mustang. So I need something a little better in the snow. I sold it to this kid. It was heartbreaking to have to sell it. I sold it to this kid who ended up like sideswiping a school bus and running it into a pole. And he lived not far from me. And every time I'd see the car drive through the neighborhood or just happen to catch a glimpse of it on the road, it was more fucked up than the last time I had seen it. So I was like, man,
that's no good.
I wish I had that car now. But that's where it started. You know, my buddy Doug, he was my best friend. He was always tinkering with cars. And he had a couple different hot rods and stuff. You know, as a high school kid, just these beater cars that you would just, you know, try to hop up. Whatever. So that got me into it. And the Mustang was like my entry way into it. And it wasn't until later, like with the Camaro, man, it's crazy. I've had the Camaro like 10 years now, but it wasn't until I had like some extra money that I could actually get a car, because I wanted another car. I just had to wait till I had some extra money to do it. Now I've had it. I put money into it. I wouldn't put any more money into it. You know, if it needs anything else, man, I'd rather just sell it and start fresh with something else. There's enough money into this thing. It's good. But yeah, it's a lot of fun to drive, man.
That's cool.
A lot of fun.
Well, speaking of when you were young, were you into hardcore music before Hatebreed, or were you always a metal guy, or what?
I was always more of a metal guy. I got into hardcore later on. I was a thrash guy. You know, I was into all the early stuff, like the Metallicas and the Megadeth, Slayer, all the good stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And that's what I listened to, and that's what I learned. That's what I was listening to when I learned to play the drums. So that was like my main influence on stuff, just headbanging metal music. And hardcore came later. I think, you know, I just had some friends who were more into punk or whatever. And they were listening to their bands. I'm listening to my bands. We knew about, you knew about all these bands, but you never just really listened to them as much. And when I started to get into like AF or the Cro-Mags, like, man, the logos were sick, and the dudes in the bands were nuts, you know? And it was like another level, because you think like metal, but you learn later, like I think metal came from the hardcore punk stuff. They just took it, sped it up, and cleaned it up more and played it better, more precise, and added guitar solos and stuff. So it was like once I got into hardcore, I could see, oh, that's where all the stuff I'm already listening to came from.
Yeah. This
stuff, you know, this stuff's just way dirtier and way faster, and the recording quality is worse, but it's just like there's something so raw about it. So yeah, well, to answer your question, I've always been more of a metalhead, but got into the punk and hardcore stuff later.
Okay. Nice. We're both thrash guys from when we were young. So what's your favorite thrash band?
Slayer's my all-time favorite band, metal-wise. But yeah, I loved early Metallica, Exodus, Testament. You know, I was into Ozzy, all the standard metal stuff, you know, that anyone, I think, you know, it's become so popular now. It's like, dare I say mainstream, but like you're hearing Metallica on classic rock stations now, you know, and Ozzy and shit. But remember at the time back in the day, that was the dirty stuff, man. That was like, whoa, does he worship Satan? I don't know. It's so crazy. Prince of Darkness, you know, whatever. But yeah, all the stuff, we were all in the same shit. Crowbar. Oh yeah. You know, Pantera came a little later. I was into Pantera, but I was into the faster stuff before. I think Pantera like took that stuff to another level. It was they did more mid-tempo stuff, but the playing was more precise. Mm-hmm. They like bumped it up another notch, you know?
Yeah. It's tight as shit.
It was tight as shit, and the production was different. Like Vinny's drums were so huge compared to some of the other bands, you know, that were metal. But yeah, so I was into everything that anybody else is into. Yeah. And I was also into funk music. I got into that through playing drums, actually, because I took lessons for the first couple of years. I started playing, and my drum teacher at the time was awesome, and he got me into funkier drummers when I had never been exposed to any of this stuff. I mean, I knew who James Brown was, but he just started getting me into like Tower of Power and Kenwood Denard, these drummer guys like Tony Williams, jazz fusion guys, and that opened up a whole other world to me too. So I'm still a fan of a lot of that older funk stuff too, because the drummers were amazing.
You a fan of the funk metal kind of stuff too?
I get, whatever. Not really, but yeah, I could see, like, it's cool.
Yeah.
But, no, it's just, I like the dirty funk.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, final question. Judging by where you're from and your hat, I assume you're going for the Dodgers.
I am.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty, yeah. No, Boston is a no-no around me. Yeah. But also my girlfriend's from California, so she was in California, relocated to Philly. So she was like a Phillies fan for a while, but really her roots go back to being a Dodgers fan. So I told her I'll root for the Dodgers. Not only because they're playing the Red Sox and fuck them, but just because she's from California. So we're rooting for the Dodgers.
Nice. Cool, man.
Well, I'm a Mets fan, so.
Yeah.
Mets, hey man, if the Mets are on, I'll watch them.
Yeah. He doesn't have a clue. My Astros are out, so, whatever.
Yeah, they are a strong team. They're a strong team.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I'll watch New York teams if they're on TV because that's what we get around my area. So if the Mets are on, I'll watch them. Football, I'll watch the Jets or the Giants. Especially if they make it to the Super Bowl, I'll root for them. But otherwise, I'm a Chicago fan. For football, going back to the days of the Super Bowl shuffle and all that shit.
Yeah.
Walter Payton and Jim McMahon. But
they look like they're good enough this year to.
Yeah, they started off pretty good, man. Yeah. They got some young talent on there, and we'll see. We'll see, because they've been mediocre a lot of years. I still watch them. I still root for them, but you just want to see them bump it up a level and get to that next level,
Yeah. Cool, man. We appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks for chatting with me.
Yeah,
I feel like we've hung before. Have we met before?
Well, I and him went through a meet and greet. God,
like 5 years ago, probably.
Yeah, you guys are totally
4
familiar.
years ago.
I remember talking.
It was the one where right the line ahead of us was some little Asian girl, and she was going nuts, and she literally jumped in Jamie's arms.
Was she from Japan?
I don't know. Well, it was in Arkansas, but yeah, she had a fucking accent. Like she was from Japan, and she was going freaking ballistic.
Oh, wow.
And she jumped in Jamie's arms, and I mean, everyone's got to remember that. So maybe, man, that could have been
so that's where we met. Yeah, okay, that's where we met. All right, cool.
There you go. Matt Byrne from Hatebreed. Big thank you to Mike from Adam Splitter PR for setting that thing up. And, of course, a mighty thank you to Matt Byrne for taking some time out before their show to talk to us.
Definitely. That was a great conversation, and it was really cool to meet somebody from Hatebreed and get their take on things. And
right.
That was just great. And also, shout out to Miss May I and Ringworm. They fucking kicked ass, too.
Yeah, I don't even know why I didn't. Let's just talk about that.
Well, okay, here's the thing is I've heard the name Ringworm forever. I've never seen him, I mean, I don't mind admitting that, I'm new to this band or whatever that's been around for a while. And shit happens. There's so many fucking bands.
Right.
And you go in so many different directions with your tastes over the years, whatever. But I was fucking floored by Ringworm. They fucking killed it. I love that guy's voice. It's like, it's brutal as fuck. It kind of, it was just, I really dug Ringworm. And then Miss May I'd never seen them before, and it wasn't really my thing, but I liked it way better than I thought I would. And
let's see, I mean,
they sounded, and their stuff was a little bit different than I had imagined it. So maybe that's my ignorance.
Well, no,
but I enjoyed it.
We talked about that, way back when we had their guitarist on early on.
Bass player.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Hey. It's all good.
Yeah. Ryan Neff.
That's right.
The bass player, sorry. He, we obviously at that point were pretty ignorant to him.
Mm-hmm.
And so we listened to a lot of their stuff leading up to it. And I said the same thing. I was just like, I kind of blew these guys off as just being just some random metalcore band. But it just seemed more to that to me when I listened to them, for that interview and everything. And yeah, and I mean, like you said, this time they're totally different from the other three bands on the bill, but they still put on an excellent metal show, and I mean that's the point.
That's right.
Show,
That's right.
And like you said, Ringworm fucking just threw it down.
Like man,
I became an instant fan just like you did.
That was nuts. I went and put all their shit in my playlist.
Yeah.
Fucking I was even going to go get a shirt if they had a 3X, but they didn't. So I went to their web store and they had 4X, which is even better, so they love the fat guys. Shout out to them for that. And I got one. And
that day was Florida Frank's birthday. And
yes, it was. That's right.
And he used to be in Ringworm as well.
That's right. He did. Yes.
So this is just all tied together.
All tied together.
Yeah. But there's a mini review on those two. I don't know why we didn't say that earlier when we were talking about the show. And also, I want to say I felt kind of dumb after asking that question to Matt about the, playing the songs from the first album when they did it recently. Because I completely forgot or didn't know that he was in the band once before he came back.
Really?
Like when he said, he had done a stint.
That's right.
When they were touring the first album for like 3 years or whatever,
Gotcha.
4 years. Because they had like 4 or 5 drummers before they solidified that spot with him.
Yeah.
In like 2001 or so. So, anyway. There you go. There's my ignorance coming through.
Hey, man, you're not ignorant. You're badass.
Oh, thanks.
Well, I try.
Well, if this is your first time listening, we appreciate it. And like we said, we mentioned Ryan Neff from Miss May I. We've also had on Pustulus Maximus from Gore.
Yes.
His alter ego, Brent Ferguson, who is also in the band U.S. Bastards.
That's
Last time Gore came to town, talked to him, which is really cool. Hey, we've also had, if you like Hatebreed, I bet you like Superjoint.
Oh, yeah.
We've had on a couple different guys from that band, one of which is Jimmy Bauer, who's also in I Hate God. He's also in Down, which, speaking of Down, we've had on Kirk Winstein from Crowbar twice.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
We just had Tim Salt from Clutch.
That's right.
Go check that out. Kevin Martin from Candlebox. Fucking Frank Hannon from Tesla. There's something for everybody.
Yeah, both Mike Dean and Reed Mullen from COC. Tommy Victor from Prong. Like we said earlier, Biff Byford from Saxon.
Yes.
Gumby and Tony from Battlecross. We've had on them two combined 4 times now.
I think so.
Yeah. We've had on guys from Scattered Hamlet 4 times as well.
That's right.
I think the leader on our podcast is Mike DiPetrillo at 5, I believe.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, either by himself or with his band.
That's right.
Or with Scott Bond from Death Grip.
Exactly.
His band being Driver, I should mention. And also he's in First Strike as well.
We had Tommy Victor from Prong, CJ Pierce from Drowning Pool.
That's right.
Jared James Nichols. That was a great one.
That is true.
So, we've
had on Jason Todd, the original guitarist for Shinedown.
That's right.
We've had on David Elfson, the original bassist for Megadeth, the current bassist for Megadeth.
Yes.
Chris Broderick, the 5th or 6th guitarist for Megadeth.
And have you ever heard of Gene Simmons?
No. What's he do?
He plays bass in Kiss. You didn't know that?
No.
He was on this show.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that's cool. I'll check that out.
You should.
Yeah.
You really should.
Bruce Kulick was formerly of Kiss. He was also on this podcast. And just this past week at the Kiss Cruise, which Florida Frank from Hatebreed was on.
That's right.
He joined the current members of Kiss on stage, as did Ace Frehley.
I know. What do you think? Is that alluding to something, you think?
I believe so. On a lot of these shows at the end of the road tour, you might see something similar.
I hope so, because I guess these fuckers are expensive as hell.
They're not.
Saying. I don't know. I haven't really looked deep into it. So.
People just are dumb and they post shit on Facebook like, holy shit, this ticket's $800, but it's a resale ticket.
Well, yeah.
When the actual tickets range from 26 to like 120 or something.
I see.
I
see. Yeah, that's why Metallica nosebleed tickets were automatically double what they were advertised.
Yeah.
Like the minute they went on sale.
Yeah, because it's just, if you just Google that shit and you don't look at what you're clicking on, you're not clicking on the right link. And then even if you go to Ticketmaster, there's also resales on there if you're not paying attention. So
yeah. Anyway. If you Google something and you click on the first thing, it's probably an ad.
Yeah.
And so that means you're going to get fucked right in your beehole.
Right.
Okay. I just said fucked, but I wouldn't say butthole. What the fuck is wrong with me? Fuck. But it's the truth. If you're just, okay, I'll just click on this first thing. It looks legit. It's probably not legit. So pay attention.
That's right. Well, like we mentioned early on, Kicks. We recorded a podcast with Steve Whiteman and Mark Schenker.
Yes.
And the 3 other members also chimed in as well. So all 5 members of Kicks coming up on this podcast here in the next couple of weeks.
Be on the lookout.
We've also had on 2 of the members from Julian K, who are also both founding members of the band Orgy.
They're coming up. Yep.
That's right.
That was a good one.
And then we've also got 2 of the members of Wither, who will be celebrating their final show here coming up at the end of the month, November 30th, at the Vanguard, along with our buddies in Sign of Lies, Reliance Code, and the Normandies.
That's going to be a great show. I can't wait for that one.
That's 4 solid bands that you don't want to miss if you're in the Tulsa area.
We will be there.
We will. And what else we got coming up? This weekend, are you going to Nonpoint? Is that definite?
Yes.
I might be.
We got our tickets.
Okay.
We are going to Nonpoint in Oklahoma City.
Okay, Nonpoint on Islander. We'll be
Yes.
there this Saturday night in Oklahoma City area, so...
And I may or may not see you there.
Yeah, hit us up. Hit up Jason. Hit up me, maybe. You know, we've got stickers,
There you go.
bracelets, that kind of
Oh,
stuff.
yeah, we'll have them.
Yeah. So, yeah, all this stuff is at thethunderunderground.com. You can buy merch. You can listen to these podcasts. You can read reviews. You can also send us your music or your albums for a year or whatever at thethunderunderground@gmail.com. You can also send us a few bucks a month at patreon.com.
Definitely get into that.
Or you can listen on SoundCloud, YouTube, Google+, iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, all that great stuff. And every Monday night on 1027WSNR.com at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. I think that covers it for this week, right?
I think we're good.
All right. Until next time.
Thunder Underground, y'all.